Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Keep up with everything at Tarpley.net and Webster G. Tarpley on Twitter. And do check these two major articles posted this week. Those two both available in Italian translation. We're hoping for French and Spanish, but not yet. We're always interested in getting this into languages as possible. So if you want to do something to fight imperialism and to advance the cause of peaceful coexistence, then you can contribute. The Hong Kong monkey trap, you know what it is, right? The monkey puts his hand into the jar. There's a nut inside, but once he's made a fist around the nut, he can't get his hand out. So you got him. We now have an imperialist monkey trap in Libya, and it is destined for Paris, for the French. Sarkozy, of course, a madman, I think, in many ways, in a frenzy, the manic phase, the flight forward, gloating, Napoleon III, everything bad in French history. Attaque à outrance, right? Keep attacking no matter what. But now the U.S. and the British say, oh no, Sarkozy, you can't be the head of it. You can't be the head of it. And he says, no, I want to be the head of it. Moi, moi, moi. The idea here is the French colonial tradition, of course, going back to Dien Bien Phu, the Battle of Algiers, the Suez attack of 1956. It's a loser. And de Gaulle knew this. De Gaulle told the French, listen, French, the empire is bad for you. Give up Algeria. If you don't give up Algeria, you sacrifice your trump cards. On brûle les atouts. You give up your trump cards for the future of France, for diplomacy, for economic development. And he was right. Ataturk, by the way, in the twilight of the Ottoman Empire, Ataturk said the same thing. Turks, he said, forget the Ottoman Empire. Don't try to keep this large extent. Be Turkey, and you'll be better off. I say this to the United States today. Dump the empire. The empire for you means high unemployment, low standards of living, barbarization of public life, the smashing of the labor movement, reactionary politicians. Look at all these fascist Republican governors that are running around today. And, of course, endless wars, endless death, endless casualty lists, and no future for the kids. That's imperialism. The United States would be more powerful, more prosperous by getting out of this stupid imperialist game. Of course, the ruling class doesn't want to do that because it would make them face the issues of economic development. So that's the trap for the French, that at a certain point they make a landing. Maybe Sarkozy says, I'm sending in the French Foreign Legion. They land in Libya and suddenly find that they're all alone on the ground facing Black Hawk Down to the third or fourth power. And at that point, you get a crisis of the type that ended the French Fourth Republic and brought in the Fifth Republic. The Anglo-Americans may be thinking of a Sixth French Republic, la Sixième République, the Sixth French Republic, which would be a puppet state of Washington and London. But now, before the first hour ends, let's get over to the al-Qaeda angle. All during this crisis, Gaddafi and his son Saif and others have been saying correctly that the rebellion in Benghazi, Tobruk, and in Darna is terrorist. They are al-Qaeda. And I have just completed a study which indicates that that is correct. They say even more that I haven't been able to verify. That is that a number of the leaders and top people and key participants in the rebellion have actually been brought in by the United States from Guantanamo, from the Guantanamo Bay concentration camp where terrorists had been imprisoned. Is also a question, what was Gaddafi's role in bringing them, right? There was some idea that Gaddafi was trying to placate the tribes, especially the Harabi tribe and the Obeidat tribe, in that key area, Benghazi, Tobruk. He was trying to placate them by bringing back their fellow tribesmen from Guantanamo. In that case, he has committed an auto goal, right? He has an own goal has been inflicted by him on himself. But here's the finding. We have a West Point study from the Combating Terrorism Center of the Department of Social Sciences, U.S. Military Academy, West Point, New York, by Felter and Fishman. and it is December 2007. It is based on the fact that the U.S. forces captured the personnel files of al-Qaeda near the Syrian border in Iraq. And what they found is 600 or 700 fighters who had come across the border. The results are that area, Benghazi, Tobruk, and Darna in the middle between the two of them, is terrorist heaven. It is al-Qaeda heaven. It is, per capita, the heaviest representation of terrorists, suicide bombers, and killers anywhere in the world. This is who the U.S. is supporting. This is who the UN is supporting. This is who the U.S. is arming through with the Egyptian junta. The finding is that per capita, per million of population, Libya was leading the world in terms of jihadis, terrorists, suicide bombers being sent into Iraq during the period 2006-2007 across that border, the Syrian-Iraqi border, which is the main one, as was often said, that Saudi Arabia was about half as likely per unit of population. In the case of Libya, it's about 20 terrorists per million of population. In the case of Saudi Arabia, it's about 10 terrorists per million of population. The all-time world champion of terrorism is the city of Darna. It's D-A-R-N-A-H, sometimes transliterated as Derna, D-E-R-N-A. Darna, Derna, different ways of getting the Arabic script into the Roman alphabet that we have. But you get the idea. Take a look at the map. Benghazi, Tobruk. In the middle between them is Derna. Not on every map, but it's on most of them. It's a city of between 50, 60, 70, 80,000. We don't know exactly. But they contributed the largest number of terrorists to the effort to kill U.S. and NATO troops in Iraq of any town, city, village, or hamlet in the world, as far as we know. They beat Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, which was the runner-up. And Riyadh, of course, is a city of several million, I think about 4.5 million people in Riyadh. And they were beaten by Little Derna with 50, 60, 70, 80,000. According to the population, for every 1,000 or for every 1,500 people in Derna, you got one terrorist willing to fight and die to kill the U.S. and NATO in Iraq. And not only this, but in terms of the propensity to choose the suicide bomber route, right? One thing to be a fighter, to be a mujahideen, to be a jihadi, I'm going there to fight. But the idea that you're going to go and kill yourself, you're going to be a suicide bomber, Derna and this area of Libya beat everybody else. 85% of the Libyans going into Saudi Arabia who specified, who answered the questions at all, said their preferred method of struggle was to be a suicide bomber. Second, of course, to among the top four, let's say, among the top four cities of the world in terms of producing suicide bombers, Derna was number one, but Benghazi was also in the top four cities, along with Riyadh, Derna, and one other place, I believe, in Saudi Arabia. Anyway, get the details. And when you take a look at this article on Tarpley.net, look at those charts. You can see the cover of the West Point study. You can see the charts, per capita, per million of population, how many terrorists were sent into Iraq from a whole bunch of countries, and you'll see the Libyan line sticking out way beyond Saudi Arabia or anybody else. Morocco did get into the act. It's interesting. The Gaddafi-controlled areas, practically nothing. Tripoli does not show up. Sirte shows up a little bit, a couple of other places, but the real center of Gaddafiism in Tripoli, as far as I can see, no suicide bombers or none worth mentioning, compared to the world leader Derna. The CIA secret army is composed of al-Qaeda terrorists, butchers, killers, jihadis, mujahideen. They want to kill U.S. people. They want to kill Europeans. And the CIA is now making them great. Time to end this stupid policy. Back in a minute on World Crisis Radio.